In this video, we will explore how to create our own loading screen module. Modules in Unreal Engine are self-contained units of code that can be loaded, unloaded, and shared between different projects. They help organize code, manage dependencies, and improve build times by allowing you to compile only what you need. A basic module consists of a private C++ file, a public header file, and a build.cs configuration file. Each part plays a crucial role in how your module works and integrates with Unreal Engine. For our tutorial, we'll be creating a loading screen module folder, which will contain the module build file, as well as a private C++ file and a public header file. We will need to make sure we regenerate the Visual Studio project files in order for these additions to be added to the project. All right, let's create the folder structure for our loading screen module. So I'm just going to close everything. And to do that, again, we're going to test into our source folder. This Unreal project already has one module, which is our game module, which represents the project, and we're going to add another module for our loading screen. So right beside inside our source folder, right beside our project folder, I'm just going to add a new folder, call this loading screen module. Inside there, let's create another folder called public, another one called private, and in here let's create our build file, the module's build file. So I can just right click and let's create a text document. Make sure that you have your extension there as well. We'll delete all of that and let's call this loading screen module .build.cs. So again, loading screen module has to be the name because it's inside the loading screen module folder. Yes, I want to change the extension. And then inside public, let's go in here and create our header file. So again, let's create a new text document. Call this loading screen module.h. And inside private, let's do the same thing and call this loading screen module.cpp. All right, so our loading module files are all set. So again, loading screen module folder that has a private, public, and the build config file. The C# file inside public, we have the loading screen module header file. Inside private, we have the loading screen module.cpp file. Now, in order for this to show up inside a project, again, we have to right click here and regenerate the Visual Studio project files. All right, and once that's done, we can open up our project, and now we should see two modules inside our project. We have our game module and we have our loading screen module as well, which has all those files with no implementation, which we're going to add now. So the build file is pretty straightforward. The only thing that we'll do is we'll have a couple of dependencies which we can add on to later on, but I just have core and core UObject. One critical part about this loading screen module is that it has to be inside the pre-loading screen loading timing inside the U project, which we'll see in a second, so that it can initialize itself in early enough so that it can actually display loading screens when they're needed. All right, and then inside the header file, we are just going to inherit from the iModule interface class. We're going to override the startup module. We're going to override the isGame module to specify if this is a game module. And then we're going to provide our function to start the loading screen, to start displaying the loading screen. Inside our CPP file, we are going to include our header file. We're going to provide the implementation for the startup module. For now, we're just going to display a log, a warning that it's starting up. Is game module, we're going to specify true that this is a runtime module versus editor only module. For the start loading screen, we're just going to again display another warning that we started the loading screen. And then for the module has to have this at the bottom, implement game module, which registers this module with Unreal Engine's module system. Has to have the type and the name of the module that we want. Now the next thing is we also want to specify for our project to use this module. To do that, we can go open up our uProject file. So in here, you see that it lists all the modules that are included inside our project. And right now, it's just this project module, which is our actual game, right? But we also want to add another module to here as well, which is the loading screen module. So let's do that right here. So we're going to put a comma and set the next module. It's going to be the loading screen module. The type is going to be runtime, and the loading phase, this is important, is going to be the preloading screen. And again, this is important so that it can load at the appropriate time before the loading screen, so that we want it to display the loading screen. And then inside our build file, we don't want the movie player anymore because we're not going to be using it inside our project module. We're actually going to be using the loading screen module for the loading screens now. All right, and at this point, let's just save everything. Let's save all. Let's open up our game instance actually, and let's let's get rid of this stuff here because now we're gonna be storing this inside our loading screen module. So let's save that, close all of this, and let's regenerate the Visual Studio project files. We do this because we made a lot of changes inside the build files. So let's just regenerate, make sure that the project is configured to use all of the modules that we specified. Okay, let's open that up. And now the module should be ready to use. So let's see if we go inside our game instance. So instead of, again, having the movie player module here, which we don't need anymore, we're going to use our loading screen module. And inside the begin loading screen, let's try and load that particular module, so the loading screen module. If that's not null, then we can say, hey, start the loading screen because we begin loading this particular map. If it's not valid, something went wrong, maybe we don't have access to this module, we'll just display a message to the screen or to the log. So let's build this and let's see if we can first of all, let's see if this builds, and second of all, let's see if this log gets displayed once we transition from map to map. All right, so for this, we don't have to test it in standalone game because we're not using the movie player module yet. So let's clear the log, and if we click start, we'll say, it says here, loading screen module, start loading screen, right? So that means it successfully, we successfully compiled with our second module, and our game instance is using this module to tell it to start the loading screen. So it looks like our modules are ready to go, and we're ready to start implementing particular loading screens that we want for this module. In the next video, we will look into creating a custom slate widget that we will use for our loading screen.